You're going to be seeing a lot of talk in the next couple of weeks, days, months, etc., about how ridiculous it is that Jeanine Áñez is being charged with genocide in Bolivia, about how her human rights are being violated. Obviously, she didn't commit genocide, right? So let's talk about that. Here's a great article, Washington Post. Genocide prosecution of former president tests Bolivia's justice system. So she said the political persecution has begun when she was arrested, right? And now her mental and physical health are declining, and she's a symbol of the deepening polarization. To some, she's the victim of a politically motivated justice system. It's like literally the fucking Organization of American States human rights organization, Inter-American Human Rights Commission. They said under Áñez there was evidence of massacres, systemic tortures, and summary executions. Yet apparently, like, the Washington Post is somehow trying to find a way to spin this as being like a bad thing, right? Like the charges against her are clearly ridiculous, blah blah. We fear the Arce government is going to cherry pick the report and just use the parts that they see as strengthening their political interests, while ignoring abuses by its own supporters. What does that mean? Its own supporters didn't commit massacres. See, and then he says here, this is the head of all of Human Rights Watch, by the way, at least the Americas division, I'm not sure. They were brutal, outrageous massacres, Munoz said. But 2 massacres don't make genocide. These disproportionate charges are not helpful to the victims. Okay, let's take a look at the definition of genocide in the Bolivian Penal Code, okay? That one with the intent of totally destroying, or totally or partially destroying a nation, ethnic or religious group, blah, blah, blah. This first part, up until the comma, is all the similar to the UN definition of genocide. Will be punished with a prison sentence of 10 to 20 years, okay? And then it also says, this also applies to the perpetrators or other direct or indirect culprits of bloody massacres in the country. Okay? This modification to the Bolivian Penal Code dates back to the 70s. So in Bolivia, massacres are genocide. Legally, they're genocide. They have been since the 70s. So she's legally guilty of genocide in Bolivia, unambiguously. According to the Bolivian legal code, she is guilty of genocide. You can't say that she's not. There's no fucking way. She essentially ordered the massacres herself. There's a million ways to link her to them. So this fucking moron, Human Rights Watch head, 2 massacres don't make a genocide. Literally, they fucking do. It's right here in Bolivian law. So you're going to, this is what I'm saying, what you guys are going to be seeing. You're going to be seeing tons of English language media trying to paint the fact that she's being charged with genocide as ridiculous, when she's literally being charged with genocide under an official legal definition of genocide in Bolivia that predates Mas coming to power by 30 years. Okay? Remember that. She's being charged with a crime that applies to her under Bolivian law. Nothing more, nothing less. The State Department is watching closely. Of course they fucking are. She basically faked a suicide attempt to try and get attention, to try and frame herself as more of a victim. Bitch, you murdered 24 fucking indigenous people. Shut the fuck up. Hernan Terrazas, no one knows who that is, a political analyst and journalist, said the Arce government is merely pursuing a politics of revenge. Oh, so trying someone who murdered 20 plus people is just revenge. She unambiguously murdered 20 plus people, confirmed by every single international investigation possible, confirmed by a Harvard University Human Rights Specialty Unit investigation, confirmed by the IACHR. Even the Human Rights Watch morons complaining in this article acknowledged it. Like, it's just such a fucking joke the way they're trying to frame this, like there's both sides here. But yeah, so I wanted to point out this definition of genocide in the Bolivian legal code, because it's going to be very relevant in the way that this is being spun in the media over the next couple of weeks and months during her trial. In Bolivia, massacres are genocide, legally. Okay? You can be charged with genocide if you commit a massacre. And the reason for this is that the country has had so many fucking massacres historically that this law, by the way, was passed under a dictatorship. So even the dictatorship which passed this law decided that, like, we need some sort of special law to punish massacres specifically, so let's put them under the genocide provision. That's how bad it's been. Nothing to do with the mass doing evil, disproportionate charges, right? Genocide charges were disproportionate when Áñez was pinning them on random people who'd literally never even been to the country, who obviously had nothing to do with a massacre. But Áñez literally committed multiple massacres. So she's guilty of genocide, and she's going to be found guilty of genocide, and it's going to be completely valid that she is. Simple stuff. There's no way to say that she isn't. So yeah, watch out for this sort of spin in the media. It's completely in line with Bolivian legal code that has been there for decades and decades and decades before Evo Morales and the masks were ever even a thing. And I mean, what's the difference anyway between charging her with genocide, which is a charge specifically for mass murder, and charging her individually with like 20 counts of murder? There's not really much of a difference there. She'd be found guilty on both. I mean, for charging someone in Bolivia, what matters isn't international definitions of genocide. What matters is Bolivia's definition of genocide, which includes massacres. So there's no possible argument. She's guilty. She's going to be sentenced. She deserves it. Enjoy rotting in fucking prison. Simple stuff.